And boom, I picked up and it was my recruiter. And when I tell you my heart was racing a mile a minute, my name is Marcus, and I'm currently a full-time student at Florida Atlantic University, or FAU for short, and I'm pursuing my BBA in marketing with a concentration in advertising. Over the past year, I've been fortunate enough to intern at two Fortune 100 companies, Tesla and General Motors. Regarding like my extracurriculars at school, I hold two executive board positions at my university. I'm the publicity chairman of FAU's National Society of Leadership and Success, and also the senior director of creative for FAU's American Marketing Association. And I also wanted to mention my entrepreneurial side as well. So I have a true passion for like automobiles and also the digital space. I'm actually the founder and editor in chief of my self-owned automotive media production company called Driving Be Driven LLC. And directories to like all the different content that I create and all that stuff can be found at drivingbedriven.com. Yeah, I guess that's just a high level, quick overview of where I'm standing right now.
Well, it sounds like you do a lot as a college student. What do you do in your free time?
I feel like one of my favorite pastimes is cooking and baking. I can cook a mean garlic lemon salmon and also like a really tasty like chicken penne pesto pasta. So those are like two of my cool signature dishes. But also one of my first jobs was actually a confectionery artist or like a cake designer. And I did that for like weddings and special events at like a local luxury bakery down here in South Florida. So yeah, I guess my favorite pastime is like baking and cooking.
And how did you find out about product marketing and what made you interested in it?
I'd say product marketing kind of found me, but honestly, I think it's true when I really think about it because when I was like a kid in grade school, for example, like I can tell you wholeheartedly that I wasn't running around saying, my name is Marcus and I want to be a product marketing manager in big tech. You know what I mean? That was not obviously my immediate trajectory, but I'd say the interest probably sparked when I stumbled upon like a few LinkedIn posts from like individuals who secured APMM and PMM roles at super awesome companies like technology companies. And I was essentially instantly hooked. And then, of course, I learned about Google's APMM program shortly after that. And then I also learned that they had an APMM internship opportunity via the Bold program. And ever since then, it became my newly found dream to like experience what it's like to be in a tech APMM role. And then in retrospect, I feel like it did take a lot of dot connecting and self-reflecting. I seriously had to sit down and analyze my past experiences to see where there were overlaps with like PMM related duties to see if it would even be like a good fit for me.
How did you prepare for the APMM internship interviews?
In order for me to prepare, I made sure I got familiar with the role of an APMM. Also, I made sure that I understood the company's culture as well as the recent campaigns that they've done, favorite products or cool products that I like from them, just different things like that. And just really being able to immerse myself into that company and being sure that I had strong reasonings for like why Google and why APMM. And then also I knew that they were going to ask me like four key attributes, or these questions or the interviews are going to be formulated around four key attributes. So I made sure that I had strong role related knowledge. I had like examples of my leadership abilities, also like understanding Googliness, which is like a nebulous term that Google invented to see how you'll theoretically fit into Google's culture. So making sure that I was aware of that and of course try to tailor my answers to that. And then also general cognitive ability, which is like that fourth element, which is essentially like case study consulting questions to see how I, as a candidate, like think on the fly. So making sure that I practiced those four attributes throughout my preparation phases. And in my preparation phases, I made sure to also try to pull lots of behavioral examples that were centralized around like my interest in product innovation and being empathetic and making data-driven decisions, having strong storytelling abilities, working cross-functionally with teams, all of those different elements. And also, of course, with behavioral questions, it's great to use like the STAR method, but I also use the SORT method. So SORT is SOART. So S is like your situation, O is your objective, A is your action, R is your result, and then T is your takeaway. So during my preparation phase, I made sure to practice everything with the SORT method because that was a great way for me to remain on track and helped me like showcase my storytelling abilities essentially and helped me take the interviewer along for the ride without making my answers too long-winded because I always had that structure to fall back on. I'd say don't be afraid to leverage mock interview resources as well. Your career center at your university, I'm sure, has some type like mock interviews that you can do through your school. So of course, reach out to them. I Google's recruitment team is also like super helpful. So I just was really able to like make sure that I leveraged those documentations that they gave you, those PDFs, and I made sure to read those front and back, left and right. I looked at it upside down, like everything. I made sure that I understood those documents as much as I could because I knew that at the end of the day, they were probably grading me something along the lines of what they were providing me. So making sure that I had a good understanding of that along my preparation phases.
What was the Google APMM internship interview process like from start to finish?
Usually the process entails two back-to-back, approximately like 45-minute interviews with two seasoned APMM team members. And Google doesn't tell you who your interviewer is going to be beforehand. So you can't really do like your typical research about, the person that you'll be interviewing with, but instead it's wise to study those PDFs that they email you, reach out to others for interview prep, and also do your own role-related and company-related research. The structure of the interviews entailed essentially four parts. So, of course, they wanted to know like your leadership abilities as well as your role related knowledge. They tested your general cognitive abilities, how well you think on the fly in case study like questions. And then also your Googliness, like how well you fit into the culture. And then they also have like behavioral questions, like your more traditional behavioral questions bundled into that as well. But the whole like way that they ask them, I feel like is different per interviewer. It's not really like a set formula, like, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna have your first question is gonna be like this, or your last question is gonna be this. It's very random because every single interview that I did, it was not really like a rhyme or reason that I was able to spot, which I think is of course there to make the process obviously not extremely easy. You're just going in, you're like, I know exactly how this is gonna go. So it's of course, you have to go in understanding that there is going to be a level of ambiguity. You're not just going to go in and like know everything like the back of your hand, but being able to emphasize, especially for like a role like an internship, that you want to learn, right? Of course, you have that knowledge, but you're also really open to learning as well.
Throughout the process, what was the hardest part?
This is actually a really funny story, but I actually almost missed the application window for the Google Bold internship for the program because I believe they open the application on different dates each year. And for some reason, I was relying primarily on the dates, from prior years, and I never set up a notification on the career site about the opening, which I later learned that you can do. So the application actually ended up opening even earlier than I expected. In fact, I'm so grateful that prior to the closing date, one of my fellow intern friends at Tesla, William Messenger, who was also a past intern at Google, but within their supply chain org, he brought this to like this new opening date to my attention during one of our coffee chats. And I legit panicked for a sec because I was like, this, this was my dream internship. And it turned out I had less time than I expected to be able to like polish up my resume, develop my cover letter, do my research, etc. And my resume definitely needed a lot more work than usual at the time because I just started with some new clubs. I just got my Tesla internship. I literally just ended my General Motors internship a couple weeks prior. So my resume became dated rather quickly. So I had to kick it into overdrive and I hustled to make sure that I tailored my resume to the company and to the role to the T. And also a really fun fact is that Google loves resumes that use the XYZ format. So definitely go and Google search that XYZ resume format to help increase your chances of getting your resume looked at and possibly even securing an interview. And I also even like reached out to some of my LinkedIn connections that were currently employed at Google to ask them to submit a referral for me as well. But regarding the interviewing, like I guess the hardest process of that or the hardest part about the interviewing, just to keep it short, I'd say interview internal conflicts that I'm sure everyone has with themselves regarding overcoming imposter syndrome. But honestly, with the help of my like support system, family and friends, and just coming to terms with myself that Google clearly wants to interview me because they see, a value that I can provide to the organization and my potential of prospering within that role. Not to mention, I had to like make sure to go in with a ready to learn mindset, an open-minded mindset, because at the end of the day, I was applying for an internship role. So it was that tricky balance of coming across as like super knowledgeable, but also super receptive to feedback and of course ready to learn more. So just really leaving your ego at the front door.
How did you feel after you finished your interviews? And when did you know that you got the offer?
Wow, this is actually a super fascinating mini little story too. I found out the day before Christmas Eve, so December 23rd, and I actually got the call in the afternoon while I was washing dishes in the kitchen and listening to a random YouTube video about like dealing with post-interview anxiousness, I guess, right? Like just like dealing with like that post-interview and like just understanding there's nothing you can do more at this point. And like the irony is hilarious because yeah, my phone rang mid video and I rushed to dry my hands, fumbling for my phone, and boom, I picked up and it was my recruiter. And when I tell you my heart was racing a mile a minute, but yeah, she essentially said, "Congratulations, you got the internship." And literally, I got all teary-eyed. I'm not even gonna lie. But essentially, she ran down like some of the logistics over the phone, and then sent me like that official offer letter shortly after via email. And also, just for reference, I applied in late September and I didn't get my offer letter until, like I said, late December. So the process definitely takes time and requires lots of patience and attentiveness along the way. So don't think you're just going to apply and like instantly get in the next week because that's not how it goes.
What advice do you have for college students who are trying to get a product marketing internship?
I definitely say believe in yourself. Don't let everyone around you who's getting these cool internships or getting this or getting that like deter you. Just once again, like believe in yourself and have confidence in yourself, right? Also, you're a marketer. So I'd start with mastering how to market yourself in an oh so compelling way, right? Like define your USP, your unique selling proposition, and define brand you, right? Sit down to really think about how all your past experiences, or of course not all of them, because that's being unrealistic, but just how some of your past experiences connect in some way, shape, or form. And I know this is an internship or like your entry level phase, right? You're an aspiring PMM, right? You don't have a long track record of PMM experiences. So you're obviously not going to have that direct experience. But honestly, for most people, it's never really a straight career path trajectory. Honestly, being able to connect the dots shows your ability to think innovatively. And it's a great way to, of course, showcase your storytelling ability. So I would definitely say that's really important. And also, maybe you don't have direct corporate experience, but maybe you participated in a club or you have a passion project or you volunteered or you worked in a completely different realm, but you've done tasks that may overlap with the role of a PMM. You really just have to dig deep. But ultimately, being able to connect those dots, like I said, and being open to learning is going to be your key to success. And also, don't forget the secret yet oh so important concept of know the user, know the magic, and connect the two, which I actually first heard about from one of Henry's super helpful YouTube videos.
That's all the questions I had. Thank you again so much for sharing about your experiences. And again, super excited for you to start in May at Google.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Henry.